D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just got done watching House of the Dragon, season 1, episode 1. And I just have to tell you right now, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's a little late for me as of recording this, so I'm not quite sure when I'll get this out. I might wait until tomorrow morning, or I might just release it as soon as possible. But I just have to say that it was very good. Now I want to be honest with you guys. I did not read the book Blood and Fire. Is it Blood and Fire or The Reign of Fire? I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, but the book that this TV show is made up of or based on. I only read the main 5 books of the Song of Ice and Fire, what Game of Thrones is based off of, which, like most people, I didn't like the ending of Game of Thrones. I feel like it veered off in a weird direction, and I think that Martin because he wasn't involved, really didn't have a say in that. Now, in saying that, he is involved in this show, and this is the book that, kind of stopped Winds of Winter from being made or whatnot, to being written, which is fine. It's fine. I have a feeling that Martin's not going to finish those books anyway, so it's like whatever about it. But I was a little leery, but the trailers, and I didn't do any trailer reactions because I hadn't read the books. And sorry, I'm a little tired right now. It's very late for me. But I hadn't read the book, so I didn't do any trailer reactions to it because people, they get so angry. And and I just want to say right now, I'm probably going to mess up some names because there's a lot of characters in here. And some of the dragons, I might mess up the 2 dragons that are in this episode. I might mess up their names. And if you want, you can totally hammer me in the comment section. I just want you to know, though, I'm going to try my hardest, okay? It's a little hard, and there's a lot of characters to and you have no idea how, when I was watching this episode, I was like Googling the family tree. I was like, oh my God, I don't know who this is and everything. But I want to get started on this breakdown. But before I do, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting shoved further and further to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. Now, in saying that, let's get started on this breakdown. Now, it starts off with this kind of flashback, kind of explaining some stuff. And it takes place in Harrenhal. Now, it talks about how King Javaris, he gathers 1,000 lords or whatnot at Harrenhal. Now, if you remember, Harrenhal was in Game of Thrones, and it's this space that Daddy Lannister, what was his name? I can't remember off the top of my head. He had taken it over, kind of thing. And it was just basically ruins, like a ruined fortress. And that's because there is a big battle here, from what I understand, during the Dance of the Dragons. And on the map, it was this little thing on the map during that opening sequence, which I was kind of bummed that this show didn't do an opening sequence. But at the same time, I'm like, well, the only thing that it takes part in is King's Landing in this episode. So I understand why they didn't do an opening sequence, but that's Harrenhal. Okay. So he brings together 1,000 lords to vote basically on who will be the next king, the heir to the throne, because both of his sons had died. So we have, this is Prince Viserys, and it is, I believe, his brother. Oh Jesus, you guys are gonna hammer me on this stuff. Sorry, I don't know the lineage. And then his I believe this is his aunt, which is Princess Rhaenyra, which will later be known as the Queen That Never Was. So they're sitting here, and so he ends up coming up. They all vote basically, and they vote for Prince Viserys. He gets the Viserys Targaryen. He gets the heir to the throne, and he's going to become king, which he does become. That's his wife, and she's kind of bummed. And her husband, he is Lord Valerian, And from what I understand, because like I said, I didn't read the books, but I watched some YouTube videos, Googled a little bit. But from what I understand, he fought hard to make sure that he married a Targaryen so he could have that Targaryen blood. So that way his children could and will be dragon riders. Okay, so it says, it is now the 9th year of King Viserys Targaryen's reign, 172 years before the death of the Mad King, Aerys, and the birth of his daughter, Princess Daenerys Targaryen. So this is roughly 200 years before Game of Thrones happens. So then we get this cool scene where it's kind of like in the clouds and everything. And it's, I almost felt like it was like, how in Jaws when it's like you're just like, what's going on here and everything. And then all of a sudden a dragon appears. Now this is Syrax. And this is the dragon of Princess Rhaenyra. Oh gosh, you guys hate me already. Or Princess Rhaenyra. I'm just gonna say Rhaenyra Targaryen. Anyways, the princess. And from what I understand, she was a dragon rider at the age of 7. She tamed a dragon at 7, which I'm like, good for you. Way to be a go-getter. So there's the Red Keep, and King's Landing. Very cool. I always loved the Red Keep. I always thought it was very cool in Game of Thrones. I loved it. And I love this city. So this is the Dragon's Keep right here. Now in the Game of Thrones, this was basically just ruins because this is where they would keep the dragons, and keeping them in a small space like this would make it to where they were only a certain size. So, and I love how when they cross over, these people are just nonchalant. You remember in Game of Thrones, however, if a dragon passed over, you were like, what? Oh my gosh. But this one, dragons are just flying overhead and they're just like, it's just just the princess having her morning flyby. So she lands and everything, and she's, the dragon is, you got these dragon keepers. They're kind of like Rancor keepers, but they're just chilling. And she's, loving on her dragon, Syrax. Yeah, it's Syrax. And she's just loving on her dragon, like, oh, I love you. And Syrax is a female. This is her King's Guard or whatever, her little guard, her little minion. He's great. I can't remember the name of the actor, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so then she comes to see her little friend. Now, this is Alicent Hightower, and she'll become important later, but her father is the Hand of the King. Sorry, there's so much going on here, right here. And so there's her dragon. I love, I think I can't remember what it was, but I heard that when they had, because like in Game of Thrones, all the dragons look the same. And I guess the showrunners didn't want the dragons for this show to look the same, and they said they understood why they did it beforehand, but from what I understand, they put 2 concept artists for each dragon. Each one would draw their own dragon, and they'd overlap those drawings and they'd create one big concept. And I really like this dragon. It's very cute. Anyways, so they take their carriage back to the Red Keep and they go through the city. I love King's Landing and the Red Keep. There's the Red Keep. Great. I love it. It's so great. Architectural Digest. So she goes to see her mother, who is about to give birth to hopefully a son, a new heir to the throne. So she's talking to her mother, and she's basically saying like she doesn't want to be, a birthing mother. She wants to be like a knight kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, good for you, but let's let's be serious, honey. So then her mother's all like, we're just, royal wombs. And I was like, well, whatever. It sucks that they have to be that way, but it happens. And I believe her name is Emma. Yeah, Emma. I think that's how you pronounce it. Emmy. So Emma. And so very pretty, very pretty. So then we go over to the council, right? And they're basically going over stuff. Now, what's his face? Gosh. Sorry. I'm sorry that I'm messing up some of this stuff, their names, but I just want to, so Lord Corlys Valyrian. Gosh, please, you guys are gonna hammer me. Lord Valyrian. He is talking about what is known as the triarchy of the stepstones. And basically, and that'll become important later on, but basically he's being taxed very highly for his ships to go through. And the triarchy is basically, they've got a hold of the stepstones. And later on, Daemon Targaryen, he helps carve out his own little kingdom in the stepstones. But basically, the king here is just like scoffing it off, and so is the rest of the council. They were just being like, why are we worried about pirates and everything? And it's like, well, you should really. And he's saying like, listen, if we don't worry about these pirates now, eventually we're going to have, ships not getting through, and then we'll have, a shortage in supplies, a supply shortage, kind of like where we're going on with now. So he's basically like, oh, you guys are not listening, whatever. So they were talking about other things, and they're talking about the son and everything, how his heir will be born. So then Princess Renara, she goes to the throne room, and she meets, and she goes to talk to her uncle, Daemon. And she says, what do you think you're doing, uncle? And he says, sitting. And she said, this could be my chair one day. And she says, not if you're executed for treason. You haven't come to court in an age. And he says, court is so dreadfully boring. Then why come at all? I heard your father was hosting a tournament in my honor. The tournament is for his heir. Just as I said, his new heir. Until your mother brings forth a son, you are all cursed with me. Then I shall hope for a brother. Then he says, I have a gift for you. Now, I just want to say real quick, and spoilers for any of you that haven't read the books. I haven't read the books real quick. I just want to say this. I just researched it. They end up marrying each other. And that's like her uncle. And I was like, ew. But I love this little banter that they have between each other. But he's like, I brought you a gift. And he brings her a necklace. And he puts it on her. And he's like, beautiful. I didn't think it was that great. But anyways. So then this Hightower girl is like, hey, who did so-and-so marry when they came to Westeros? And the princess is just like scoffing it off and everything, even though she knows what she's talking about. She's like, all right, I'm going to go. And she tells her what she wants to hear. And then yada, yada, yada. This part is very like whatever to me, at least. Although I did like this callback to this weeping tree. I love this tree. Anyways. So then the king, he has a habit when he sits on the Iron Throne, which is made up of 1,000 swords. He has a habit of cutting himself. And this wound right here, he's cut himself, but it hasn't healed, which I don't know if that's in the books or whatnot, as far as I'm concerned, like if it's something that I've heard of in the 5 books that I read, but I just don't remember. So they're going to send off some news to the other chain wearers. What are they called? Shoot, I can't forget. Gosh, I'm so tired. But yeah, they're gonna try to figure out what it is, but they're like, let's keep it silent and everything, but they're gonna try everything they can to heal it. So then he goes to talk to the queen, and he's like, I feel like it's a son and everything. And she's all like, the bath is all, that makes me comfortable. And he's all like, it's tepid. And she's like, this is the hottest that the maesters would let me have it. And I can't remember exactly what they talk about. Sorry, I didn't write it down, but I'm sure it's great. So then the Gold Cloaks, the knights of the city, they're preparing themselves, where Daemon Targaryen has been put in charge of the Gold Cloaks. So he talks about how they need to get ready because they're going to go out and everything. And so they go through and they just lay waste to the city, and they gather up thieves, rapists, and bad people, from what I understand. Now, a part of me goes, how many of these people, because he acts as judge, jury, and executioner. And for me personally, I just go, how many of these people were really guilty and how many of them were innocent, but they were just falsely accused? And then they took out whatever. And he's just cutting off hands and cutting off penises and, just cutting off heads and everything. And me, I'm just like, is there no mercy whatsoever? And so then the next day they come to the council and they're like, hey, your brother, and he's there, by the way. I love how a Hightower, the hand of the king, he's all like, your brother's a menace on the city kind of thing. And he's all like, so they're sitting there talking, and eventually he's just all like, didn't you just lose? He talks about his Damien's wife. And he talks about how she's ugly, which I have a feeling that she's probably not that ugly. He's just being a dick. And so then he talks about how, didn't you just lose your wife like a couple months ago or 2 years ago or something like that? And he gets pissed. He's like, excuse you, fucker. Don't talk about my wife like that, kind of thing. But he's like, hey, listen, he's trying to get a rise out of you. Are you really going to let him get a rise out of you? So he sits back down and everything. And then he goes to the whorehouse where he's taking these bitches to Pound Town. I'll tell you that, but he can't get off, if you get what I'm saying, can't get off the bus, wink, wink. Now, Matt Smith did say he was all embarrassed because he had to do a lot of sex scenes. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And everything. So she's all like, what can I do for you? Can I help you out or whatnot? And he's all like, just hugging her titties. He's, putting that titty pillow. Anyways. So then we get the tournament. And he's giving the king is giving a speech about how this, is for his soon to be son, the heir of the throne kind of thing. And the tournament begins. This is a Baratheon who asks for favor from the queen that never was. And she gives it to him, which I'm all like, if I was a girl in this, I'd be like, I'm not giving you my favor. Like, you got to earn that stuff. If you win, you can have it kind of thing. He ends up losing. So they're going through this one's late. And so the prince, he chooses the high tower to go up against. And the high tower guy, he puts his lance in front of the horse's legs, and it makes the horse tumble over. And then I don't know if this is the high tower guy's son or if this is just like a representative, but he loses. She's like, good job. And he asked for this high tower because she's a high tower, which is the king's, the hand of the king's daughter, Alicent. He asks for her favor, which she gives it, which he didn't like and everything. So then the queen is giving birth, and they come to her and they say, listen, the baby is breech, and everything we've done to try to turn the baby around to where its head is pointing down has failed. And we don't know what else we're going to do. Meanwhile, this tournament is going on. It was bloody as all get out. I'll tell you right now. I was like, ugh, and everything. I have to tell you right now, I'm not somebody that I don't like pus, mucus, or blood, any bodily fluid. It's just all gross. Like, I don't have a strong constitution. So when I'm seeing like arms and legs being hacked off, I'm like, ugh, and everything. And like when they were scraping the mucus off of his wound earlier, like I'm getting a little grossed out just talking about it. But it was gross. I love how she's just checking her nails like, can this bloody mess just get over with? Anyways, and their kids are just all about it. Like, look at them. They've got a very cool look, though, with their white hair. It's very cool. Anyways, so they bring the king aside and they're like, listen, we've got a problem. We have one of two options. One, we can try to do a C-section, what we know as a C-section today, and we can try to save the baby, and the mother will die. Or they both will die. And now, from what I understand from the books, there was no clear point where the king made a decision. But it seems like from this show, he made a decision to save the child. Tough decision. I don't know what to say as far as his decision goes. So this guy, which I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but by all means have at it to it was like Christian or something like that, like Sir Christian. Anyways, so he fights Prince Targaryen, Prince Damien Targaryen, and he ends up winning, just so you know. And the king, he's trying to comfort his wife, but she's like, I'm scared, kind of thing. And so she's like, please don't. And she's screaming. And I felt so bad for her. Like, she's basically like, please don't do this. And I'm just like, please don't do this to her. Like, this is so unfair. And like childbirth. Now I get it. This is not real, but childbirth back in these days was hardcore. It wasn't just a simple a quick fix. Because, for instance, sometimes women, they break their pelvis because the baby is so big. And nowadays, it's easier for you to A, survive this, and B, not die from it, and heal. But back then, that was one of those things that you'd probably die from it. Like, there was just no option, kind of thing. And it really does suck. I felt bad because a lot of women died back then, when if those babies were born now, they would live, and so would the mother. Medical science has really come a long way. So Targaryen, he gets knocked off his horse, but they start the duel. She gets the baby cut out of her. Feel so bad for her. And Targaryen, he loses. There's the baby, and they name him Bane. Don't quote me on that. And she gives her favor to Sir Christian. It's Sir Christian, right? It doesn't matter. There she is. She died. I feel so bad for her. And he's all like, you have a son. The son ends up dying after a couple of hours, which really, it's really sad. I know from experience, I had a son that only lived to 5 months, and it was very sad. All right, moving on. So he's, mourning the loss of his wife. And that right here, I could tell that they were going to lose the child, because the way the maester looked at it. And so all of the members of the council, they leave, and there's something going on. So then we hop over to the funeral, and you see the body, and they show the king, and then they show the body of the baby, which was very sad. I was very not happy during this moment. Anyways, so she says, I wonder if during those few hours my brother lived, my father finally found happiness, which I found was very sad. Okay, so I just want to say right here, this I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is my oldest. And I listen, I wanted a son first, to be, living. And my daughter, who is my oldest, I love my daughter. She makes me so happy. So I don't understand why he wouldn't be happy, with his daughter. And she seems like a great kid. She can ride a freaking dragon. How cool is that? Anyways, and he says, your father needs you more now than ever, and then more now than he ever has. And I'm like, that's so true. Like, all he needs is just comfort. I will never be, and she says, I will never be a son. And and when she said that, I was like, sweet pea, he doesn't need a son right now. Right now, he just needs his daughter to comfort him. I'm like, so she looks at him, and he's not going to give the order. So she steps forward. She looks at her dragon, and she goes to say the word. She's like, and she stops. And the dragon looks at her, and then she looks at her father, because she's wondering if he'll be able to say the word. And he doesn't. So then, or if he's going to look at her. And so she looks at the dragon. She says, Dracarys. The dragon comes down the hill, and he lights the bodies on fire. And I mean, and it's so sad. It's so sad. So then we go over, and Hightower is bringing forth the thought of, he's all like, we need to talk about your heir. It shouldn't be your brother, because your brother he's hot-tempered. He's just, he's just not great for the kingdom, kind of thing. Yeah, Hightower's playing the long game, but he's a little mischievous. And Lord, oh gosh, what's his name? Valerian. He says, well, why don't we do Princess Rhaenyra's, because she is the queen that never was, and everybody, people want her to be, and they were like, well, you were on Damien's side before. What happened now, friend? And I get it. He's all like, listen, Damien's the heir. But if we're going to start throwing out names for new heirs, I'm going to throw my wife's name into the hat, because then I become king ipso facto, kind of thing. And I'm all like, come on, buddy, your wife's ship has sailed on that moment. So then he's like, I'm not going to talk about this right now. The mother of my child has died. My child has died. I'm in mourning. Leave me alone, kind of thing. So he walks out. He's pissed. So then Hightower, he's writing notes and everything. He, like I said, he's playing the long game. And his daughter comes in. He's like, I want you to go and read to the king, and I want you to comfort him. And she's basically sending her to have sex with him and create an heir, which happens. And me, I'm all like, as a father, I mean, like, listen, I'm pretty sure this game was played back in the day, but nowadays, sending my daughter to fuck a dude, I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. Get out of here with that nonsense. But she does it because she's, she's his daughter and everything. So she goes and she's all like, I thought I'd read to you. I hear you like the history or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's very kind of you. Well, then, by the way, this model is very cool. I was like, that's cool. So then Damien, he goes and he rents out a brothel, a little love palace, if you will. And all of, he gets his higher ups in the gold cloaks, and they're just fucking away, which is totally cool. I get it, So yeah. Take them to Pound Town. I get it. But then they're like, give a speech, which was a bad idea. Because then he gets up and then they call for an emergency meeting because during his speech, he refers to his dead nephew as the heir for a day. And it's very disrespectful. And it pisses the king off. Even Rhaenyra, she even, she's holding on to that thing and she like lets go for a minute. And she's like, and she looks away and you're all like, oh, he fucked up. He fucked up hardcore. So he brings in Damien because he's all like, oh, no, you did snap, motherfucker. You want to talk shit about my dead kid? We're going to play. You want to play this game? Test me, bitch. Test me. So he brings him into the throne room and he's like, what is this? And he's like, you will refer to me as your lord or I will have my guards cut out your tongue. And I'm like, oh, you tested him. Don't test him right now. Don't test him. He'll cut your head off, Matt Smith. So anyways, he's all like, I don't know what to talk. He's like, did you refer to my son as the heir for a day? And he doesn't answer, which means yes, he did. Now, from what I understand, now again, I haven't read the book, so don't get all mad at me. Although, fine, shred me in the comments. I don't care. I can handle it. I'm a big girl. But in the books, from what I understand, there's no clear answer as to if he said it or not. But it seems like in this show that he did say it. So he's all like, I will announce a new heir. You are no longer the heir to the throne. And he's like, what? And he's like, you will go away. And if I hear any lip from you, little boy, I will have my guards kill you. I'll just have my guards kill you. If you don't argue about it, you'll argue it from the grave kind of thing. So he's like, he's just like, all right, fine, whatever, dude. So he leaves and he ends up cutting himself again on the throne because that he has a habit of doing that. And I'm all like, stop, just wear gloves, dude. Stop it. Come on. So now he's sitting in the crypt underneath the Red Keep and he brings in Princess Rhaenyra. And he tells her about how there is a prophecy of a winter that's coming. The winter is coming. And they're basically talking about the winter from Game of Thrones kind of thing. And he's like, basically like, if all of Westeros does not stand up against this, it will engulf the entire kingdom kind of thing. Which, did Westeros stand up against all of it? No, they didn't. It was just basically the North. So then basically then he tells her he's going to name her as heir to the throne. And here she is at her like coronation, as we will. Hightower girl, she's preparing her and everything. And all these people are giving their allegiance to Rhaenyra, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. And here is, now this is Princess Damien's dragon. Now his name is Caraxes. Please don't get mad at me if I said it wrong, but he is also known as the Bloodworm, and he's very cool looking. Now, he's the second writer. I believe the first writer was Aegon Targaryen. Don't quote me on that either. although you will, and you're going to be very mad at me if I got it wrong, which is totally, hey, I get it. I get it. I read the first 5 books, and when people would get stuff wrong in Game of Thrones and the Song of Fire and Ice, I'd be like, no, that's not what happened. You weren't paying attention. It's on page 83. It says this, and this. I was one of those people. I'm sorry. Okay. So he brings along his little heir, and he's like, he's like getting her, the dragon to like her so she can write it later. And as all these people, including the Baratheons, are swearing fealty to her, that's a Stark right there. He's getting on his dragon, who is very cool, by the way. He's a very cool dragon, red and black, so cool. And flies off with his little heir, his little the devil's harlot. And then she turns to face, her minions. And then that's where the episode ends. I'm sorry it took me so long to get through that. There's a lot of stuff going on in this episode / this show that I feel like I have to break it down. But so this episode was very good, you guys. Like, it was very, like, I feel like we've gotten back to the way that Game of Thrones should have been. Because Martin was involved. And I think that when you have the creator of something involved in your project, I think it gives it more credence. And I feel like, when towards the end of Game of Thrones, they just had a falling out with Martin, and that was not for the better. That I think that they should have tried to keep in with him so that way they could make the best show possible. And I feel like they didn't do that. This show, however, is very good, my friends. It's very good. I enjoy it immensely. I enjoyed this episode immensely. I thought it was great. I love the politicking that's going on. I love the backstabbing that's going on. And I can't wait for the next episode. I'm telling you that right now. Next week, I think, is going to be, must watch TV. So I think if you're not there, then you're missing out. You're going to be left behind, because the rest of us, this is a water cooler conversation like Game of Thrones was back in the day. So that is all I got for you guys for this episode of House of the Dragon. Tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? How accurate to the book is this episode? Did they veer off a little bit, or did they reign true to what happened in the book? I have started reading the book, but I'm only on like page 4 or whatever. Give me some time. I'm going to try to get through it before the end of this season. I think it's only 10 episodes. But yeah, tell me what you guys thought. Tell me who your favorite dragon is. So far for me, it's Caraxes. I know we only saw him for that hot minute, but he was very cool from what I saw. Yeah, tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week on my House of the Dragon breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.